Do. Oh, well, hello there. Says we've been going for like almost 10 seconds now. Yeah, but I still don't have picture on my phone. Let me make sure the volume's turned down. So, okay, there we go. Yeah, it's still got a blank screen on the phone, so you're just hearing my voice, if that even. I don't even know if you're even hearing my voice, but here I'm here, believe it or not, just sitting here in a void waiting for the camera to notice that it's working. Actually, my camera's working just fine because I can see myself on the screen on the monitor. There we go. StreamYard has finally caught up with us. 45 seconds into the video. So good job, StreamYard. Might want to work on that. So don't have a whole lot of time today either because I got to go into work early. But I did really want to open this up. This is the Amazon exclusive Masters of the Universe 2026 movie from the Masters of the Universe Chronicles line. Ram Man and Fisto. Ram Man, the heroic human battering ram, and Fisto, heroic hand-to-hand fighter. So we got a nice image of the actors who portray these characters in this movie. On one half, the Power Sword, and on the other half, there's Skeletor. So they're facing off against the main villain of the movie in this pic. Got the same pic of the duo over here. Yeah, Ram Man and Fisto. That's a good team, huh? Yeah, you get rammed from one end and fisted from the other. So this is what it says. The little bio on the back here. Got a photo of the two figures, and then got Ram Man leaping into action, Fisto with his power fist. They're both running at the camera here. They've got some pretty cool features in terms of like things to display them with. I think these are going to be fun figures to open up and play around with a little bit. So yeah, I was about to read the bio on the back. They were the heroes of the Royal Guard when Skeletor marched his forces across Eternia, forcing them into Subternia. Now, alongside He-Man, Ram Man, and Fisto lead the underground resistance as they battle to reclaim their planet from the forces of evil. Doesn't that sound exciting? So I've told this story before, and I'm going to tell it again right now, is that on Christmas morning in 1982, underneath the Christmas tree, I found He-Man and Battle Cat that were left for me by Santa Claus, and I just thought they were so cool. And of course, I'd seen the commercials and probably had asked my parents about it. Might have even put something about give me a He-Man and Castle Grayskull, all that kind of crap in my letter to Santa. I don't know, but we got He-Man and Battle Cat. So yeah, I was really excited about that. And then when I went to my grandparents for Christmas later that day, Santa Claus left another stocking for me at my grandparents' house, and Skeletor was in it. So that was really cool. So I had He-Man, Skeletor, and Battle Cat. And then when I opened up my presents, Castle Grayskull. So that's a good way to get started with this line. You got He-Man, you got Skeletor, you got Battle Cat, you got Castle Grayskull. And I've mentioned before, Castle Grayskull I thought was like the coolest thing. And that was the thing that got me really interested in this line in the first place. That was the thing that captured my imagination. Al Davis is here, says, evening, Alan, hope you're doing well. Hello to everyone in the chat too. Okay, hello to you too. Good to see you. So yeah, that was my first Masters of the Universe figures. And my Aunt Reed, that's my great aunt, that's my mom's aunt. She gave me some Christmas money, so we went to Watt Lionel Play World. And I picked out my next Masters of the Universe action figure, and for some reason I picked out Ram Man. and when I got him home and I was playing around with him, I decided Ram Man was not a very cool action figure. Like He-Man and Skeletor were really cool action figures, and Ram Man I decided was not, because he couldn't really move his legs. I mean, they compressed into the body, but he couldn't like sit down. He couldn't sit in a vehicle. He couldn't sit on Battle Cat. And he had an accessory. He had his axe. The axe was pretty cool, but the arms were only articulated so they could move back and forth like this, and they were essentially useless. So Ram Man was not really an action figure in my estimation, and I was very disappointed in him. So I've never been a fan of Ram Man ever since. He's always been one that he's always been one that, you know. And for some reason, I've got like 4 of them now. I don't know how it happens, but you collect vintage Masters of the Universe action figures. You just accrue Ram Man figures. It's not even anything you have any control over. Now, that having been said, since then, Ram Man has had some cool figures. I never had the 2000X Ram Man figure, and probably because once bitten, twice shy. I'd been burnt once before. My fingers were still burning from the last time, as Mike Nesmith said. So, but yeah. So never got the 2000X Ram Man, and I was kind of reluctant to get the Classics Ram Man. I did not get the original Classics Ram Man. I didn't get the Classics Ram Man until Super 7 re-released him in the mini comics colors. And then I was kind of like, okay, I'll get while I'm ordering the rest of these Super 7 figures, I might as well get Ram Man too. And opened him up and thought he was actually a really cool figure. They did a great job with Ram Man in that line. And later on, you know, when Origins was first starting out, I was trying to get everything of Origins that I could. Eventually we just got so much Origins that I started to more cherry pick what I was getting. But at that time, I was getting everything. So, of course, I got Ram Man. And I was much more impressed with that Ram Man figure than I was the one from my childhood. If I'd gotten that Ram Man back in 1982, I would have solidly been a Ram Man fan for the rest of my life, even though technically he still can't sit in vehicles. Al Davis says, you're getting me nostalgic for all those past childhood Christmases. I'm always nostalgic for that stuff. Any excuse I got to go off on that. TMNT NFW is here, and he says hi. Hi to you, too. Good to see you. And Al Davis says hi to him. And TMNT asks, how are y'all? I'm doing just fine. I just want to get through this video because I got to go to work early today, unfortunately. So, anyway, I think I've said everything I need to say about the package. Let's go and open it up and get on this. Fisto, on the other hand, I always thought Fisto was really cool. And I don't remember if I've talked about this before, but kind of in my head, my estimation of Fisto was he was a guy who was, probably, are you late? No, not very. Not very. I just now opened up the figure. I talked about the box a little bit and talked about my history with the character of Ram Man. And then I was going to talk about my history with Fisto as well. Nothing in here. I knew there wasn't going to be anything in here because it's got the contents listed here and everything's in the blister. But I wanted to open up and look anyway and just assure anyone out there that, yeah, there's nothing in that little side box this time. So, Teela, in my mind, the way she was portrayed in the mini comics is she was kind of like He-Man's girlfriend. Like they didn't have too much mushy stuff in the mini comics at that time, probably because I figured boys wouldn't be interested in that kind of thing. But there was a little bit of romantic tension in various stories. Terror of Triclops comes to mind, where there's a scene where He-Man and Teela are staring wistfully into each other's eyes, and Ram Man, is there and says, he gets the feeling that He-Man and Teela want to be alone together, so he wanders off. Maybe Ram Man isn't quite as dense as he might appear, but yeah, Teela I always kind of figured was He-Man's girlfriend. Man at Arms is always portrayed as being a little older than the other ones, kind of a mentor type figure, and that was kind of how I saw him. But Fisto, once Fisto came around, now I had a character that could just be He-Man's best friend and He-Man's contemporary, He-Man's bro, as it were. So that was kind of the role that Fisto played in my mind. Is that like you had Tila, who was his love interest, and you had Man-at-Arms, who was his older mentor figure, and then you had Fisto, who is his best chum, and that was how that worked in my mind. So Fisto always had a big part to play, and both of these guys fit in with the barbarian fantasy adventure aesthetic that I like in the Masters of the Universe world. So I believe Mark Taylor's original idea for Ram Man is he was supposed to be kind of like a dwarf, kind of like Gimli, like the Masters of the Universe equivalent of Gimli, and he still kind of retains that look a little bit. Mark Taylor went through a few different designs of what Ram Man could look like before they hit upon the final one, and this is pretty accurate, I think, to that final figure. But we're going to talk more about that in a minute. Let's set him aside for now, and I still got more accessories to get out of this box. Now, I will say I am a little disappointed that Fisto does not have his sword, and I know what some of you out there are saying. They're saying, well, it doesn't even use the sword in the movie. Maybe he doesn't use the sword in the movie. Well, he should. Well, let's be honest. He should. I know he's not Sordo. He's Fisto, but he should still have the sword in the movie, I figure. And like, even if he didn't have it in the movie, the action figure should still come with it, because like I was talking about with the cartoon collection figures, people who would complain that having those weapons would not be cartoon accurate. Well, you don't have to have them hold the weapons in the hands. But for someone like me who might want to have Fisto's sword, it would be nice to have it. And I will say that, again, just right off the bat, I do feel like that the Ram Man figure is very accurate. We're going to get into the differences in a little bit. Very accurate to the vintage figure, whereas Fisto takes a few more liberties, and I think you'll see some of them. You've probably noticed a bunch of them as I hold this figure up for you to have a look at. But let's move on from him for just a moment. We're going to talk about some of these accessories. So we have 2 solid fists for Ram Man. He's got gripping hands on the figure, and then he's got 2 solid fists. Ram Man gets the most accessories in this set. He gets the wealth of accessories in this set. Fisto has an extra hand. I mean, like 2 extra hands. He's got an extra metal fist and an extra hand. That's it. He doesn't have any other weapons. Now, granted, Fisto doesn't really need any other weapons besides this fist, I figure, but it would have been nice to have that sword. That's all I'm saying. And then Ram Man has this double-bladed axe, and it actually does look to me kind of somewhat like the original Ram Man axe, except for the original one only had 1 blade. So really, that's what Ram Man's axe probably should have looked like. But they decided to make it a double-bladed axe instead. I'm not going to complain about that. I think it's a cool-looking axe. And this is a nice little detail here. He actually has a little ram skull on the pommel. So that's really cool. And the whole thing, it looks to be molded in kind of like a almost yellowish tan kind of plastic with some gunmetal paint on the metal bits. So it looks really cool. I'm missing a lot of stuff in the chats. So let's go back and check the chat real quick. Al Davis says that he's doing well, and says, I'll keep my super dipshittery to a minimum so you get to work on time. Well, I appreciate it, but, just weigh in whenever you feel like it's appropriate. And then says, Randy Zimmerman has a YouTube channel. He's currently doing a comic book series based on the works of Robert E. Howard, which I'm a big fan of Robert E. Howard, as we all know. He has a Friday show going through Akira. Wow, that's cool. One of my absolute favorite things ever on Sunday. Indie Comics Network also does live streams too. Well, that's cool. Randy's comic book is called The Atlantean. It looks really good. So I'm guessing Kull would be a character that would be kind of tying into the Kull mythos with him being from Atlantis. Before the oceans drank Atlantis, all that kind of stuff. So this, oh yeah, and then the other accessories that Ramy comes with, and we're definitely going to talk about these. Is he's got these little leg extensions. So his legs can extend. So we're going to talk more about this. And then Fisto has a solid fist for his left hand, which uses the word that little glove, like he had that gauntlet on the original figure. And damned if I didn't drop it. The most important thing that Fisto comes with, and I dropped it, is his actual fist. And this is not the first version of Fisto to do this, where it looks like he actually kind of has a robot hand with fingers that move. But personally, I never consider that. He's got a solid metal fist for a hand. Does not have moving fingers to it in my mind. He's called Fisto, not Hando, okay? But there he is with the big old metal fist, and it looks like it's molded in like a matte gray plastic, not silver plastic, with like a little bit of silver dry brushing over it, and the joint in between is definitely a gray joint, not a silver joint. And both of these, from what I can see, have excellent likenesses of the actors that portray these roles. We get a closer look at Fisto there. And I do kind of feel like Fisto could be a little more ginger. Personally, my choice to play Fisto was always the guy from Game of Thrones that played Tormund Giantsbane. I always thought he would have been a perfect Fisto. Tormund is very similar in terms of personality to how I always imagined Fisto in my head anyway. And he looked like Fisto to me. This guy looks like Fisto too, don't get me wrong. And I haven't seen him act yet. Hopefully he'll do a good job playing the character. But I do wish they'd made his hair just a little bit more ginger. Now, that having been said, the original figure, when I was looking at him recently, I think his hair was a little more brown than I remembered it being. And it was really more reddish in like the media. Like in the mini comic, he had more reddish hair. And obviously in the Filmation cartoon, he had more reddish hair. But the original figure, it did look a little more brown. So Christopher, I'm going to butcher the hell out of that name. Christopher Hevsu or something like that. Yeah, it's like, I think it's some kind of like, it's some kind of name from like that Norwegian, Finland kind of area, which honestly, like to me, that's perfect casting for a guy like Fisto, because I kind of imagine him as being kind of Viking-ish. Again, Tormund Giantsbane. That was the guy I wanted to play Fisto, and he's like he's from that same part of the world too. Scandinavian. That's it. That's the word I'm looking for. Scandinavian. But yeah, so he's definitely got the right look. I think when I saw him, I'm like, hell yeah, that's Fisto. I'm not even disappointed they didn't do my fan casting. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about Ram Man and getting to talk about that. So the main difference that I notice about Ram Man off the bat is he does not have the skull on the belt buckle. And I figure mainly they probably left that off because they didn't want people to get confused with thinking he was aligned with Skeletor. Why has he got a picture of Skeletor's face? Well, it's not Skeletor's face. It's just a skull. But whatever, people might still think that. But he's got a very similar look with the armor here. I think these little clasps, they're not quite as oblong as the original Ram Man armor. We're really nitpicking here. But he's got the same kind of tunic with the gladiator skirt, and then he's got the legs with the kind of tube-like texture to them. Like I believe they were always supposed to look like they were coiled springs. They were supposed to kind of at least kind of subliminally make the kids think of coiled springs. But Filmation took that literally and oftentimes would show him springing into action with his literal spring legs. And it looks like that's going to be a feature in the movie too. So let's go ahead and put those onto him. And you can see it's got like this kind of blast effect, almost this kind of energy in between the coils of the springs. And that's probably to give it a little more stability. So, you can stand him on the shelf like that if you want to, make it look like he's about to spring into action. A flight stand would be good to use on this guy, I think. So you could have him just ramming towards whatever. with those spring legs. And I did see where somebody was, some people on Facebook were like, when they saw the pictures of him with these things on him, they were like, his legs look weird. They're way too long. And I'm like, dude, it's the coil legs from Filmation. What are you guys talking about? A lot of the times the people who complain about the accuracy in this movie are people who just don't know what they're talking about, I find. It's kind of funny. But yeah. And then the last accessory, that technically the only accessory that's not a part of his body, is this axe. So let's go ahead and put the axe in his hand. And there we go. Ram Man is ready to kick all kinds of ass. And I do think they did a great job with the costuming on this character. I like the look of the actor. And I'll be honest, I did think it was kind of strange. I thought it was an odd choice to pick Ram Man for a race swap. And I think the main reason I was thinking that is because, like I said, Ram Man, I always thought of as being kind of a stupid character. I don't mean stupid character in that he's a bad character. He's a good character. Like he was actually like a pretty good character in those early mini comics, and they did a good job with him on the Filmation cartoon. So I have developed some affection for Ram Man over the past couple of years. So fans of Ram Man who think I was talking smack about him earlier, don't worry, I've come around. Al Davis says he always reminded you of Robbie the Robot with the robot legs. Yeah, that kind of thing. And TMNT is still here. That's cool. I'm glad you're still here. Awesome. A lunkhead. Yep, excessive concussions. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking. He's a character of low intelligence, is what I'm trying to say. He's not a very smart guy. And like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's a positive stereotype, but it's still a stereotype. You know, the stereotype of the Asian people is that Asian people are pretty smart. You know, like it was one of those things over here when, like, you know, kids when I was in school would always joke, hey, if you're having a problem with math, copy off the Asian kid. And like then Asian people would get irritated with you, be like, hey, we're not all good at math. I suck at math. Like 2 + 2 is 5. See, look, I'm terrible at it. But you know, like I said, like it might be a stereotype. It's still considered a stereotype, even if it's a positive one. But you know, I always think of Asians as being smart people. That's just how it works in my brain. And then you cast an Asian guy as like the stupid character. And, you know, maybe he's not quite as stupid I kind of hope he's not quite as stupid in the movie, honestly. But, you know, he is a guy who rushes into situations literally head first. So, yeah. Sean Franklin is here and he says, hi. Hi, Sean Franklin. Hope you're doing well. So, this is a great looking figure. Let's talk about his articulation some. He's a lot more articulated than the original Ram Man figure that I had when I was a kid. That disappointed me so much. So I think I'm going to like this one a lot better. Ram Man looks up about that far, looks down about that far. Of course, the head rotates all the way around. He can tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side, which is good because, like I said, he kind of you can look confused sometimes. So that's cool. And then the arms rotate all around the shoulders, but obviously he's got this big old breastplate they're going to bump into. So, you know, it's going to be kind of that's just going to become one of those things. Ram Man has a bicep swivel, so the bicep rotates all the way around. He's got double jointed elbows. That is about the range of motion you get at the elbows. And I accidentally made a pretty cool pose of him, which is kind of the axe over the shoulder. And that's a good casual Rammy pose, right? I think so. And then, of course, the wrists rotate all the way around, and they're on these cool ball joints, like what we've seen in McFarlane figures for years, the Revoltech type joints. So you can pretty much pose this wrist in whatever position you want to. This is the main improvement, I think, that the Chronicles figures have made over the Masterverse figures. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think Chronicles is shipping up to be a better line even than Masterverse was. And you know I loved Masterverse, so I'm not trying to talk smack about Masterverse. But they did manage to improve on it, and that's good. I still kind of wish they were more in scale with Masterverse. I think that would have been better. But, you know, whatever. We can't have it all, can we? And then Ram Man can rotate all the way around where the torso in the mid torso where the rib cage meets the abdomen, and he can move from side to side about that far, back and forth about that far. You can get some good posing out of that. And of course, there's likewise similar articulation at the waist. The waist rotates all the way around, and you can get some good dramatic poses out of the heroic human battering ram that way. Ram Man can kick up about that far, so the gladiator kilt doesn't really get too much in the way there, so that's good. Doesn't seem to have any kind of thigh cut, but it does rotate a little bit where it meets the hip, just a little bit, not all the way around, but it rotates enough, I think, to get some good posing out of him. Ram Man has double jointed knees, and the gladiator kilt does get kind of caught up in there, so I don't think it's bending quite to its full potential, but that's about the range of motion you get there. Ram Man has a boot cut. Boot rotates all the way around. And then Ram Man's foot can point down about that far, point up about that far, and then rotates all the way around where the ankle meets the shin and where the ankle meets the foot. So there we go. That is it for Ram Man's articulation. And excellent job with this figure. A lot of good details to him. Like, the original Ram Man, pretty much all of the armor and the helmet, all that was painted just plain silver. But you can see this one's got some gold accents to it, which is really cool on the little clasp there at the front and the chain. And got a little bit of a wash on there to kind of bring out some of the details. This is a great figure. And I don't know if I'd go so far as to say it's the best Ram Man figure of all time. I think I'm still going to consider the Classics version the best Ram Man figure of all time. But this is probably the best Ram Man that Mattel has done since they started doing He-Man figures again after Classics. So let's go ahead and set Ram Man aside, and we're going to talk about Fisto. Now, Fisto is my favorite of the two characters in this set. Obviously, I already talked about how I was always more of a fan of Fisto. TMNT asks, do any of y'all have pets? Well, I don't personally, but my roommate has a cat. So I kind of have a cat, but not really. So the cat has accepted me as a human that lives in the house, and we get along pretty well for the most part. So I like the cat. The cat likes me, but it's not really my cat. So anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, Fisto. So let's go ahead and talk about his articulation. Fisto can look up about that far, look down about that far, tilt his head kind of from side to side, rotate the head all the way around. Of course, with these Chronicles figures, the head is jointed where the head meets the neck and where the neck meets the torso. So you got two neck articulations there, and that's nice. Fisto's arms rotate all the way around, but again, he's got kind of a breastplate thing that they bump into, and he's got kind of a butterfly joint thing going on, which is cool. Did Ram Man have a butterfly joint? Yeah, Ram Man I think has a butterfly joint too, but it was more difficult for me to see underneath his breastplate since it's a bit bigger. Al Davis says, I have an awesome Maine Coon kitten, 5 months old. He's a little baby called Monty. He's crazy, beautiful, and very smart. Yeah. All right, so Fisto's got a bicep swivel. Bicep rotates all the way around. Oh, yeah, his arms can raise up to the sides about that far. Fisto's got double jointed elbows. That's about how far that one bends. Does the other one bend any further? Yeah, because it doesn't have that big old fist on there, so we can get a little more movement out of that. And of course, he's got the cool new Mattel wrist, the Chronicles type wrist articulation, the McFarlane type wrist articulation, even on his big metal fist. So it rotates all around where the fist meets the wrist and where the wrist meets the forearm. So it can move all the way around, and that is cool. And same with the other hand. And you can see he's got like a gauntlet with some silver armor and mostly brown leather, brown straps. And he's got a breastplate that it seems like in the movie it's supposed to be kind of segmented, and it works that way in the figure too. So I'm guessing it kind of moves around like that in the actual movie. And then underneath he's got a purple tunic. So this isn't all one solid breastplate. This is just kind of some armor laid over a fabric tunic. And then he's got a couple of belts around the lower part of the tunic. And then he's got tan pants. And this is the main the main change that they made to Fisto's costume in the movie is that Fisto did not have long pants like this in the original action figure. Of course, he had a furry brown shorts with a purple belt, like the He-Man type shorts, with the He-Man type belt that was purple. So that was how all that worked together. But they decided to give this version long pants. Most of these characters in this movie have long pants, whether they had them in the original figure or not. Tila's got long pants. Fisto's got long pants. Evelyn's got long pants. Everybody's afraid of showing their thighs on Eternia these days, unless your name is He-Man or Skeletor. And let's face it, He-Man did not skip leg day, at least not in the action figure. Some people might say he's a little skinny in the movie, but I think he looks like he's in good shape. I ain't complaining. So, but yeah, Fisto's got pants now. And then he's got dark brown boots, not purple boots like the original Fisto figure had. So even though I think there's plenty of purple on this guy, I do think they kind of minimized the purple where they could in favor of brown. But that's fine. It's still part of his color scheme. He still had brown elements of his costume in the original figure because, like I said, his shorts were brown. Personally, I don't mind the liberties taken with this design, and a lot of them I actually like. Like, I like the way that the breastplate and the tunic come together. I think that that's all very cool. But if I was doing it, I probably would have kept the legs bare. I probably would have kept the legs bare on most of these characters, actually. That's just how I would have done it. Maybe they just wanted to make it a little more modern or something like that. I don't know. Oh, yeah, where was I? had talked a little bit about the articulation there and how it seems kind of segmented, so that's cool. Mostly he's going to have the same articulation as Ram Man, but maybe a little better. Fisto can kick up about that far, and if he had a big metal foot, the bad guys would really be in trouble. He can do the splits, no problem. I didn't check that with Ram Man. Can he? Because not really, but do you really want Ram Man doing splits? I don't think so. So anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, double jointed elbow, or double jointed knees. That's about the range of motion you get at the knees. And then boot cut rotates all the way around. Foot can point down about that far. Foot can point up about that far. And it rotates all the way around where the ankle meets the foot and where the ankle meets the shin. So again, you can get all kinds of cool poses out of this guy. I'm pretty happy with the movie costume, even though, like I said, there are things I probably would have done differently, but I'm not going to complain about it. It's good for what it is, so that's fine. I do wish he was a little more ginger in terms of the hair, but he's fine. Al Davis says, I go full retard for cats and obviously name them too. I'm almost 45. Wow, I'm so childish. Hey, you gotta love your pets, The main reason I don't have a pet myself is because I'm just not at my house that much. And I kind of feel like it would be unfair to the pet for me to get a pet that I wouldn't, be able to properly look after. Grant G is here and says, I like your shirt. Well, thank you. I get a lot of compliments on this shirt. This is probably, of all the articles of clothing that I own, the one that I get the most compliments on. But yeah, Ram Man and Fisto, a warrior duo who, I never really thought about pairing these two together, but they work pretty well as a team, don't they? They look pretty cool together. I remember on the Revelation cartoon, they had Fisto teamed up with Clamp Champ, and I thought that made sense because the original figures had the same breastplate, so it almost made it seem like they were wearing some kind of uniform, So that is something had occurred to me a lot over the years, but never had I thought to pair up Fisto and Ram Man. And now they got them together, I think they're just going to be a team forever. These guys are going to be pals. So that's it for these figures. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment and let me know what you think about Fisto and Ram Man, or Ram Man and Fisto. I think I would have gone with calling the pack Fisto and Ram Man, because to me that seems like it's got a better rhythm to it than Ram Man and Fisto. Fisto and Ram Man sounds like it could have been a cop show in the 1970s. Fisto and Ram Man. Like, all right. So next episode, I don't know exactly what I'm going to be back with, but I do know I've got a whole lot of 2000X cartoon collection figures to open up. So I do want to get started on those. And I've got some DC stuff that I want to get opened up. We're mostly going to do Masters stuff this month, obviously, because we've got the movie coming up, and I want to lead up to the movie with a lot of the cool stuff that I have. And we'll have more movie stuff coming too, because I've still got 2 more of the core line coming. And, I'll have more of the Chronicles figures. I want to obviously get, Skeletor and Triclops and Trapjaw and whatever else. Joshua Ramman and Frederick Fisto, crime fighters. Yeah, exactly. This is Hal Davis. Yeah, but yeah, anyway, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We will talk to you next time. If I can get to the end stream button. Bye.